Oh my God.
Terror on the campus of Evergreen High School, 30 miles west of Denver.
Use caution. Active shooter still down at the high school.
At least 5 children and 1 adult remain hospitalized following the deadly at a Catholic school in Minneapolis.
Today is a very interesting day. As of recording this video, Charlie Kirk has been unalived. You can look that up all over the internet. It is currently a trending topic because in the middle of one of his open public debates, someone took him out, and it was a very public, very gruesome thing, and the entire internet's talking about it. But I have been talking about a growing issue that has only gotten worse over the last few years. That is actually what I wanted to highlight in this video, because it is very apparent that after this particular incident, there are narratives being spun left and right that are causing people to miss the overarching point. And since most of my audience is from Europe, and I do a lot of these videos comparing different things from the United States to various countries within Europe, I thought that this would be a very necessary video for what's going on. Charlie Kirk was definitely a person that had very unpopular opinions with a lot of people. He did have a very supportive fan base as well. A lot of people would describe a lot of his beliefs as being very divisive, but whether they were divisive or not, no one deserves to lose their life over something like that. America prides itself in being a place where we have free speech. You're able to say whatever you want, even if people disagree with you, but we've gotten to a point where you literally can't. If people disagree with you enough, people will take matters into their own hands, and as we've seen, take you out. Now, there are other issues that have happened very recently. Shockingly, just a few hours after that, there was a mass shooting in Evergreen High School in Colorado. 15 to 30 shots rang out. All of the students were in turmoil. They were running around and in fear for their lives, which is tragic. Something that I have highlighted on this channel several times. I've talked to you guys so much in most of my videos about the very real issue of violence in America. And I'll sit down after recording a video like that and ask myself, was I exaggerating? Was I going too far? And after this week, I don't think I've emphasized the issue enough. At 1:30 p.m., students heard 15 to 30 shots ring out at Evergreen High School. That school, amongst most schools in America, have gone through mass shooting drills where they review the layout of the school, what to do when there is an active shooter in the school, and the procedures to follow afterward. The problem is all of those procedures took place in a classroom setting. This situation took place in a cafeteria setting. Everybody was on their lunch break. They were having lunch and shots rang out. Some people were injured, and unfortunately, this is the state of affairs of America as a whole. A lot of individuals are trying to make this a race issue, but it's very clear that it's not. When you look at all of the incidences and put them together, people try to use Chicago as a pinnacle of, oh, okay, well, it's just these people killing these specific people. But then you have a mass shooting that happened in Colorado. You have the mass shooting that happened in Minnesota.
At least 5 children and 1 adult remain hospitalized following the deadly shooting at a Catholic school in Minneapolis.
Just recently, within the last 2 weeks. And then you have another incident that happened where a young lady sat on a train. She happened to be a Ukrainian refugee that had moved to America to flee a very dangerous situation that she had come from, and a man randomly unalived her as well. And everybody right now is on edge. Everyone is on edge, needless to say. A lot of people are considering leaving, but they already were due to high prices and a very shocking political climate and things just being very chaotic in America already as is. And like I have said, one of the biggest things that we have to worry about, I just made a video 2 videos ago about people worrying about leaving their house to go shopping, to go to concerts, anything where you are in a public area with multiple people, you are in danger. You are in danger. That's the very real reality of America. And I thought that maybe it was an over-exaggeration. Maybe I was doing too much. But the people who watch this channel, I want you to go in the comments right now and you tell me what you observe as of right now in America, because I will say this. The news articles that are covering the events are covering some of the events and not others. I'll give you an example. The incident I just talked to you about where the young lady sat on the train and was randomly killed, and the Charlie Kirk situation where he was publicly in front of everybody. Mind you, it is a very disturbing video, so I would not advise watching it, but it is definitely one of the most gruesome things I've ever seen. Being unalived in front of all of those people, the way he was unalived in front of all of those people, those are the 2 biggest stories right now because of one thing and one thing only: divisiveness. These incidences are being actively used to split people up in the United States. Oh, look, this happened because you don't matter. matter, and you need to do something about it. You need to stand up and fight for what you believe in because you're being suppressed or you're being this. And the bigger issue, the big issue, the actual issue is that America has a violence problem on every side. On every side. It doesn't matter what race you are, religion you are, creed, whatever, because the race issue can be debunked very quickly. If you just look at the last 5 incidences of what have happened in America that have been covered across the news, it's been different perpetrators, it's been a varying demographic of people who were the victims, and everyone is on edge. People are trying to spin this and pin it on whoever they can pin it on. It's the blame game right now. This always happens. Whose fault is this? What group of people can we attack so we can make sure that this issue never happens again? But the real question should actually be, what can we do as a society to make sure that we protect ourselves and make sure that none of this happens again? What can all of us do together to make sure that none of this happens again? Because right now people are agitated. People want to do something about what has happened. People are anticipating that there is going to be a string of violence that will occur because of the Charlie Kirk incident. It's very interesting times we live in, for sure. I've always said I've never had a problem with people owning guns, right? I have a problem with irresponsible people owning guns. America has a mental health crisis. Part of that ties into our healthcare system and the lack of support when it comes to mental health. Everybody says, oh, you need a therapist, you need mental health support, blah, blah, blah. And people don't have the funds to take care of those things. That leads me into the most important point that I wanted to highlight in this video. And it's that because of the divisiveness of the coverage of all of these incidences, you have people that are desensitized on a diabolical level and even celebrating some of what has been happening. Yeah, you heard that right, celebrating. So because Charlie Kirk had a very polarizing and a large portion of people would say distasteful view on certain topics, they're celebrating his death. And that's disgusting because it only furthers the big issue in America when it comes to safety, right? The media is leaning into that because you get more clicks, more views talking about Charlie Kirk and the lady that was unalived on the train than you would covering mass shootings, because mass shootings happen all the time. But these incidences fit a very particular narrative that allow people to point fingers at a demographic of people. And politically, this would be the left, right? People are like, oh, well, the left is violent and radical and only they do these crazy crimes. And I'm like, oh, I think you are sorely mistaken. Sorely mistaken. When you bottle people into groups like that, you make that group the exception and not the rule. And by that, I mean, you completely turn your blinders on to any possible other incident that could happen to you by the people that you think are the least suspicious. If people are drawing up this narrative of a certain political side of the spectrum being the primary perpetrators of violent crime, and then all of a sudden someone with conservative views, which has happened recently, commits the same crimes, their blinders are on. They're like, oh, how could this ever happen? I don't understand. Because America has a violence problem, and violence doesn't have a race, religion, any kind of loyalty to anything. Violence can happen anytime, any place, by anybody. In recent years, I have noticed that media has had a sensationalism problem where the stories that seem like they will fit a particular narrative and get the most clicks, most views are the ones that are covered, and the ones that should be covered are not, because they don't fit a particular set of views and statistics. They don't get covered very well. We just talked about the mass shooting in Colorado that happened today, right after the Charlie Kirk unaliving. And that incident is not getting covered nearly as much. It's getting covered probably a 10th as much as the unaliving of Charlie Kirk, because that narrative is juicy. It's a guy that was very divisive and very unpopular opinions. He invited an open forum to allow people to try to change his mind. And if you watch a lot of his videos, they are very jarring. So there are people pretty much waiting and praying on his downfall. And in contrast, his fandom was very supportive of him. But because the narrative of the mass shooting isn't potent enough, it doesn't hit the same. It's getting covered, but very minimally. And it's disgusting. That is the issue that we're having in America right now. And it's only gotten worse. It's only gotten worse. People do not feel safe in America, and that is not a wild statement at all, apparently. That is not a wild statement. At this point, that is a normalcy. People do not feel safe, no matter where you are. You can be in a small town. Matter of fact, the shooting that happened that took out Charlie Kirk happened in Utah, one of the safest states in America. So it doesn't matter what town you're in, doesn't matter what city you're in, doesn't matter what time of day it is outside, doesn't matter what group of people you're around, anything can happen to you at any time, and people are on edge. And it is a very scary time to be alive. This brings about a series of questions I wanted to ask you all that watch these videos, and I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments down below. First thing is, influencers now are very keen to what has happened with Charlie Kirk, because that opened up another can of worms. Something that I've been low-key thinking about for a while. Being a social media person or influencer, which that term makes me want to throw up in my mouth, you have a lot of people that know who you are in real life. I got to experience that myself. I traveled to Europe and a lot of people were able to recognize me very quickly. And it's cool, it's fun. But having that many people readily accessible to you does bring up a very interesting question. People had ready accessibility to Charlie Kirk, and he has a massive platform. Massive platform. What happened to him could happen to literally anybody, specifically people with massive followings, right? You have a large amount of people who know who you are, where you are at all times. They might not have the best interests at heart for you, right? And you could go missing or you could be unalived in a heartbeat. So a lot of people are retracting their meet and greets. A lot of social media personalities are retracting these, tours, traveling to different places and letting people know where they're at 24/7. Do you agree or disagree with that sentiment? Because I do think it's pretty interesting. One of the things that I was kind of concerned about, because the entire world is on fire at this point, is people trying to get a clip off and doing crazy things out of the blue while I'm traveling, Nothing happened, obviously, but that's a very real reality. People are very interesting. No matter who the individual is, there are crazy people everywhere. In America, there are just a heightened amount of crazy people at this particular time, and I do want to know what you guys' idea of a solution could be to water down the tensions currently in the United States, because it seems like tensions have been at a very steadily increasing high. It's insane. I don't even live in America right now. I haven't lived in America for almost the last 3 going on 4 years. And it's saddening to see what America's turned into. The reality is, Americans are at war amongst themselves. We're all very frustrated, we're scared, we're paranoid, we have high levels of anxiety around a time like this. People are struggling to survive already, day to day, just living. And now you have to worry about being picked off randomly by a random person. It could be someone having a bad day at work, someone having a bad day at school, someone that has a random mental health breakdown. It's a very scary time. I pass some interesting questions off to you. From the outside looking in, which is why I'm talking about this, what are some deeper rooted problems that you have observed within the United States as of recent? There are a lot, so I do want you guys to be as detailed as you can in the comments down below. Also, like I've asked before in this video, are there any solutions that can ease the tensions currently right now? Because everyone is angry. Everyone is angry and people are looking for groups of people to blame. They're looking for somebody or somebodies to point fingers at and blame. You have the right blaming the left blaming the right, white people blaming black people blaming white people, gay people blaming straight people blaming gay people. Everybody is divided in as many different slices of a pie as you can slice the damn pie. And the reality is everyone's being pit against each other. So there cannot be a solution if people cannot get on the same page. There should be some calibration questions to at least question every single individual's sanity. Is it or is it not right to take a life? Boom. Should people have basic human rights? So is there a solution to tackle these growing tensions? Another question is, am I exaggerating the problem? Does America have a violence problem, or is it just convenient reporting? Is America actually a safe place? And I'm just not seeing that, because that's not the vibe I get every time I think about America. Is America actually a dangerous country right now? Would you consider America to be dangerous? Let me know in the comments. And I just want to make this clear for the people celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk or anyone. It's absolutely disgusting, and it's a gross contradiction to what everyone has been trying to fight towards, which is peace. You can't advocate for gun control and the eradication of violence of all types, at least within America, and then turn around and celebrate someone dying. That doesn't make any sense. And it sets a horrible precedent. That's the one thing I was concerned about, because I'm like, oh my God, if someone that a lot of people disagreed with was murdered in front of masses, and people are celebrating this, that means that this can very well happen to anybody else at any time if people disagree with their viewpoints. And that is terrifying. In a country that prides itself on freedom of speech and all these various freedoms, it's all an illusion. I don't really think there is that many freedoms in America. At least now, the people have shown that, oh, you're free to do whatever you want, but we're free to do whatever we want to you if we don't agree with what you have to say. And that's a scary reality. So what precedent does that set? Are you able to speak your mind freely? Should people even go to public events, concerts, churches, schools for that matter in America at this point? Because you're basically sending your child into a war zone. And saying those words sounds crazy, but that's the reality we're living in right now in America and the United States. Again, I wanted to briefly cover what was going on because it is a very trying time right now in America. People, again, are on edge. Tensions are at an all-time high. And everyone, I'm telling you, most people that I know that are living in the United States right now are torn apart. Tons of death, tons of loss, and definitely tons of tension and loads of anger. And this does not seem like it's going to lead to a good place at all. I can say one thing for those people who watch my channel. I would just encourage you guys to open your minds, open your hearts. The world needs a lot of healing. The United States definitely needs a ton of healing right now. I encourage in this channel open-mindedness, trying to see the world from a different perspective through traveling, right? Through traveling, through questioning the world around you and whatnot, and seeing what's happening in my own country is nothing short of sad and tragic. Let me know how you guys feel about that in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video.